Thank you so much, Veronica. And to all these amazing speakers, we've traveled through some very beautiful words together, and I just want to thank you each because you've covered some important areas that have touched my heart listening to you, and areas that I think are really important for where we are going in the world. From Viola, resilience; from Guillermo, inspirar; from Noha, social entrepreneurship and the power of real social change; and from my colleague Alex, he spoke about the self, how important it is to come back to the self and live for the self. And then these wonderful words from Barbara of magic, freedom, and becoming oneself. And then Jose, you took us right back to the core of it all and brought love into the picture. So I want to share with you what I think has become very important lessons or teachings through this time. I believe this is a very important time for all of us. In fact, one of the greatest crises and the greatest opportunity for our generation and for many generations to come will be decided by this time. I think we all know that. That's why we stand in shock and in now what I would like to call radical transformation during this time. So I want to talk about 3 things in my 8 minutes. And if I can, I will bring in the 4th thing, which I think is very relevant for businesses and where we are going forward as innovators and creators of a new planet, a new earth, a new way of living. And as we go through this, you're welcome to do the travel with me into the body, because I wanted to share what I've been learning through this time. And my journey began a long time ago, as with all of you, when I was born, before I was born, and who I promised myself I would be when I would become who I have become. But also, I feel like I was born a little bit for this time. But in the last 5 years, I think a new journey began where I was forced to confront very difficult realities about the world and about medicine and about illness and about the way that our planet and our resources and our inner resources are not always aligning properly. And that we all have a part to play in that radical transformation to leave behind a very powerful, hopefully meaningful and transformational legacy for the children that inherit this planet. So as we go through these 3 points, I want to remind us that we are all together in this, as we've all said, and it's all a beautiful journey for us to undertake. But of course, we are starting in a place of great vulnerability. And this is where I think about the belly and the navel, where our life begins in the mother's womb. But really, there's a wonderful piece of work done by Brene Brown recently, who talks about vulnerability as not a weakness, that it's actually dangerous for us to think about vulnerability as weak. It's in fact one of the greatest paradoxes, I think, of all times, is to realize that buried inside of vulnerability is this incredible opportunity to birth innovation and creativity. And in fact, it's where we get so humbled that we are ready to listen. And if we don't have this opportunity, we are never really ready to listen. And change is really upon us now. So we have this birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change in this time of vulnerability, when we are ready now to finally listen. And it is the chance for us to really be seen. And I find this very touching to think about, in our most truest, most authentic, raw self. And I think this is what's so difficult and so hard to manage for many of us at many times in our lives, is to be seen. So one thing to think about now is how to radically accept where we find ourselves in the world, to radically accept whatever mistakes we've made, whatever we haven't been conscious of, whatever we need to work on, and to really absorb that, because we can only transform something when we accept it first and then understand what we need to do to transform it. The second area I want to talk about is the voice and being visible, because I think now is a time where we need to find our voice and we need to speak up for things that we believe need our attention. Becoming visible in this way is something I work very hard for, especially in the world now. I think it's so important to hear the wisdom of people who are in the heart and in the head at the same time. So visibility is really what also makes us pretty vulnerable, because it means we have to step out and be seen once again for our truth. And we really do get great strength from doing that And I love this quote that I found recently, which says, attention is currency. And I think a lot of people say that where attention goes, prana goes. So our life force follows what we are conscious and mindful of. And it's a very powerful thing now for us to begin to use our attention in a very specific way. So to be able to speak the truth, to be able to listen to the truth, to be able to look at what is truly needed in the world right now, and how we don't have all the answers and we have to figure some of them out. We have to process some of them as we move through this time. So this is a time of radical action. When we start to think about the voice and becoming visible, we have to take this radical action. And then the third most important area that for me is one of my loved areas where I like to work most is in the area of vision. Because really when we look at where we are now, we need to be creating this new world. We have to shape the future the way we wish to create it. And we have to leave behind what is the past. To do that, we have to all become visionaries and support our young people to become visionary to create this future too. And this is where attention becomes a currency. It becomes a really powerful force for us to put our mind in what we choose, to be positive, to be intentional, to be conscious, to be mindful, to be with good heart, and to begin to practice this art of seeing what is invisible. And I think this is the great gift of this time, is to begin to see how we can really work on this radical transformation to leave behind a great legacy. I came across this wonderful piece of work today. A friend of mine mentioned it. Zaya Mitzik, I met her in Egypt. She came to one of my presentations there, and we share a great love for spirituality. And I told her about this book I want to write called Divine Power. And she told me that this is a time for VUCA. I didn't know what VUCA is. So I looked it up, and VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That in fact there is a school of thought saying that it describes the situation of constant unpredictable change that is now the norm in certain industries and areas of the business world. That VUCA demands that we avoid traditional outdated approaches to management, leadership, and day-to-day workings. And I think from this, I learn again that we are in a time of such epic change, and I really look forward to my last minute with you to share really what I put on my heart this morning in coming to speak with you all tonight, which is the children in the world. I've had the fortune of working with many children over the years, and I just wanted to say that I think if anything is very strong in my heart nowadays, it is that young people are really uncertain of what is to come. And if anything, we have a legacy to build, to leave behind for them to carry forward. And I think now more than ever, they too need the space to become imaginative, to play, to begin to find the resources to vision the world that they will be inheriting from us. Thank you so much to Veronica and to Hit Talks for having this wonderful panel, and to all of you for inspiring me in your talks too. And handing back to you, Veronica. Thank you.